Welcome back to Cowboys Training Camp live in Oxnard, California. Tommy Yarrish alongside Patrik Walker. Practice number 2 for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go ahead and show you some of the team drills that we've got going on today. First team offense against first team defense. Dak Prescott, under center on this play, something we talked a little bit about with Brian Schottenheimer earlier in terms of what he's thinking about schematically and doing that. Obviously, the NFL nowadays and even college is a lot more schematically inclined to be in the shotgun as you see him drop back to pass. A good pocket and a far throw to the outside for Jalen Tolbert. That's caught.
And, you know, this is going to be a big camp for Jalen Tolbert. And you mentioned that Brian Schottenheimer, he's talking about running multiples. We saw it there, one version of it with Dak Prescott under center, feeling very Mississippi State-ish, as Brian Schottenheimer put it. But for Jalen Tolbert, this is a season where he's looking to prove himself in a big way, especially with the addition of George Pickens opposite CeeDee Lamb. Can Jalen Tolbert secure that WR3 spot?
Now they've got trips to the left side with Prescott in the shotgun. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens lined up on the same side. Lamb in the slot, Keemon Hall guarding him, Kyer Elam on the outside against George Pickens with Prescott in the shotgun. Prescott, good protection again. He'll just check it down for Tolbert. And CeeDee Lamb right in front of us says, whoo, because he might have had Keemon Hall beat by a couple steps
and did
down the sideline if Prescott laid it out for him. But he was already past that read. And Tolbert gets it on the check down. But Patrick, you mentioned it's a big camp for Jalen Tolbert. He kind of stepped into a bigger role with injuries last year and now has a chance to play a big role too as the third wide receiver with a tandem in front of him that is incredibly talented.
Absolutely. Now, I'll tell you what was promising about that rep, the protection up front. This is a rebuilt young offensive line that's going against veteran guys like Solomon Thomas. And I keyed in on Solomon Thomas just then. His first move was able to get around Tyler Smith, but the recovery by Tyler Smith kept Dak Prescott clean.
There's a stun on the offensive line. Tyler Smith picks up Donovan Ezeraku, and Prescott checks it down to Javonte Williams on the outside. Prescott a pick yesterday by Marshawn Nealon, but so far he's been much better today. We saw him connect a little bit earlier in some of the other team periods with Jake Ferguson a couple of times. I know that's a very welcome sign for Cowboys fans given how well those two played in 2023 together.
We talk about Jalen Tolbert being a receiver and a target for Dak Prescott. You know, a couple of seasons ago, who was the number one target for Dak Prescott? It was one Jake Ferguson. If the Cowboys can get that connection back, something they severely lacked in 2024 because of injury on both parts, then it'll be something to watch.
Now Joe Milton with the second team offense at quarterback. He's had a really solid day up to this point. A couple of good throws as he drops back on the play action now. Plenty of time. Airs it out downfield for Jonathan Mingo, who dives but can't bring it in. And there you see a couple of things. The arm strength of Joe Milton just makes it look so easy with flipping it. That's about 40, 50 yards down the field. And just a little bit too far out for Mingo. Those two connected earlier, and Milton dropped it right in the bucket for Mingo. But that time, couldn't get on the same page.
They did, and it was just a flick of the wrist, and that does tell you the cannon that is strapped to the shoulder of Joe Milton. But in this practice, he's also shown some touch as well, which is a welcome sight.
Milton under center this time. He'll toss it to Jaden Blue, the 5th-round pick out of Texas. He gets bunched up behind the line of scrimmage, but they'll keep him going, given this is a training camp rep. And so Blue guy a lot of folks are excited about, and especially when he can get in space. Patrick, I know you talked about this a little bit yesterday, what Jaden Blue can do in space.
Absolutely, and even when you look at that play, granted, they're not in pads and they're not playing to hit each other, but look at that when he got out on the outside and he planted his foot, he can change direction with the best of them. So that's what's going to make him dangerous. What he needs to do is prove his pass protection and prove that he can make the dirty runs in the A and B gaps, and he'll be a factor.
Joe Milton checking the protection. Shamar James and Damone Clark showing blitz here early. Wanye Thomas came in a little bit late as well. They will drop back as Milton rolls out and checks down to Deuce Vaughn, who makes a couple moves on the far sideline. It's another completion there for Milton.
One thing that stood out to me there was Israel Mukuamu. The Cowboys are going to have to figure out this slot nickel cornerback situation. And Israel Mukuamu seems to factor into that, as will Wanye Thomas, as will Deron Bland in some perspective and some reps. But if you look at that play, Israel Mukuamu, he breaks down and he completely deletes Jalen Cropper from that play. And that's what you like to see. Again, with the absence of Jordan Lewis having left in free agency, there's a huge void to be filled there at the nickel corner spot.
Mukuamu a little bit bigger than your typical nickel corner, but the Cowboys like their tall, long-armed cornerbacks, and Mukuamu certainly fits that mold. As Milton sends Paris Campbell in motion, takes the snap from the shotgun and fires it to Campbell quickly before Wanye Thomas gets to him. Paris Campbell, the free agent signing from the Philadelphia Eagles from a year ago. He won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia.
And he's definitely a receiver to watch, if nothing, for no other reason than his pure speed. He's one of the fastest receivers on this team. Wonder if the Cowboys are going to try to factor him in somehow. Obviously, right now he's getting second-team reps, but maybe he can kind of carve out some first-team reps here and there. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on as camp goes on.
First-team offense back out there, and Brian Schottenheimer didn't like what he saw, so he's going to call everybody back together. It looked like there was some confusion. Miles Sanders kind of came into the huddle a little bit late, and then motioning him in. Nobody was on the same page, so Brian Schottenheimer resets here.
I'll tell you what I do like, seeing number 54 out there. Sam Williams is back, he's healthy, and he's fully participating.
Williams on one side, the rookie Donovan Ezeraku on the other. It's Prescott under center now. We'll send Luke Schoonmaker out in motion to the outside. On play action, pressure coming. That's Ezeraku in the backfield as Prescott goes over the middle to C.D. Lamb, who has words to say to his teammates as he runs down the field.
Mama, there's that man. There's that man. Excellent throw under pressure by Dak Prescott. As you mentioned, he got some pressure from rookie Donovan Ezeraku. Also on that play, you'll notice Tyler Guyton did a sensational job of keeping Sam Williams out of the personal space of Dak Prescott, giving him just enough time to find CeeDee Lamb on that middle deep crosser. And of course, number 88 does the rest and lets the team hear about it.
CeeDee Lamb coming back to share some words of encouragement, no doubt, with his fellow teammates.
And I quote, "I make 100% of my cross routes," end quote.
There's Prescott in the quick game to George Pickens, who will stop and go twice before he comes and says hello to us real quick. Donovan Wilson escorting him out of bounds. And also Diggy Zua made his way up the field there as well. So some more looks at the quick game, something we saw a little bit of yesterday with Prescott at the helm. And they can obviously do that with CeeDee Lamb. They've done plenty of that. But getting George Pickens involved in that has certainly been something we've seen early on here at camp.
And I can't stress enough how quickly the chemistry has come along for Dak Prescott and George Pickens. I mean, you're seeing it yesterday in day one. You're seeing it here again in day two.
Quick snap there. Javonte Williams with a solid carry here. That was a quick get up to the line and snap it. Prescott delivers the handoff, and Williams finds the gap and hits it.
And great job by Javonte Williams to not do much dancing around there. He saw the hole, he planted his foot, and he went north and south as opposed to east and west.
Marshawn Nealon now on the field. He's a guy who was one of the standouts from yesterday. He's kind of lined up in that three technique spot with the Sam Williams outside. So maybe a little bit of experimentation here from the Cowboys defense. On the other side, you see Dante Fowler and Solomon Thomas kind of lined up a little bit further outside as well. Jack Sanborn lined up showing blitz right over the top of Cooper Beebe. He'll drop back as Prescott takes the snap, has time, throws to the outside, and it's complete to Jonathan Mingo, who has had a really good day today, Patrick.
You know, it's a wonder what a receiver can do when he actually gets good passes from his quarterback. Jonathan Mingo showed in day one through the walkthrough that, you know, he has the separation, the ability to separate, but he's also making sure that he's coming down with these catches, be it from be it from Joe Milton or from Dak Prescott.
Now both sides will make their fair share of substitutions as out comes the second team offense led by Joe Milton. Second team defense out there as well. See the rookie Shamar James with the blue arm sleeve coming in on the blitz here as Milton goes to the quick game. That's Jalen Cropper turning up the sideline. Stepped out of bounds a couple of times there before ultimately Darius Harris got a hand on him out of bounds.
And Jalen Cropper is really looking to establish himself as more than just a training camp standout. For the past two summers, basically, Jalen Cropper has come out to Oxnard and he's really left his fingerprints all over training camp, but that's not been able to translate over through the preseason into the regular season. So he's hoping to make a mark bigger than what he normally makes.
Milton now under center. Fakes the give to Deuce Vaughn. Pressure coming, he rolls out to his right, and Milton will tuck this one and take off. Joe Milton's leg, something that we haven't talked about a lot. We talked a lot about his arm, and he's showed off his arm a lot, but saw earlier, too, he kept it on a read option and picked up a solid chunk gain as well. It's something that you didn't see a lot from him during his collegiate days at Tennessee, but when a guy's built like that and he can move it all, it's certainly a plus to your game.
Yeah, Joe Milton is showing that he can do more than just backflips on demand. He has displayed a lot of mobility over these past couple of practices to start training camp, and it looks like when he gets out in the open field, he's going to be a problem.
Jaden Blue motioning in the backfield to the right of Joe Milton. Defense showing pressure. They send 4. Milton on the quick crosser. That is Trayshawn Holden, the rookie undrafted free agent out of Oregon, who is very close with Cowboys wide receivers coach Junior Adams, who Dallas hired out of Oregon. He was their wide receivers coach, and now Holden makes the catch on the quick slant route there. And the pass from Joe Milton.
Great job by Holden there of not getting Gator arms, knowing that on that quick slant he had pressure behind him, bearing down on him, and he has the linebackers eyeing him. He looked the ball into his hands, got some yards after the catch. Can't ask for much more from that rookie.
Joe Milton barking out orders there. He's sends Rivaldo Fairweather, the undrafted free agent rookie tight end out of Auburn, further out. He takes the snap in the shotgun with Deuce Vaughn to his right, and he'll check down Devon on the right side of the field, who has some space to work with before Wanye Thomas closed in on him. All right, continuing on here, this is the call it drill where quarterbacks will be able to call different things at the line of scrimmage if they so choose. As Dak Prescott on the first play will check down to Javonte Williams, and that ball is popped free by Donovan Wilson and recovered by the Cowboys defense.
And there is another takeaway by Matt Eberflus's defense. The Cowboys put some balls on the ground yesterday, much to the disdain of Brian Schottenheimer, but Schottenheimer on the other side of that coin did state that it's a good sign for Flus's defense and said that, bottom line, he expects the Cowboys defense to lead the league in takeaways this season.
Brian Schottenheimer, the play caller, might not be a big fan of that, but Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, is definitely excited that his defense continues to turn the ball over in his favor. As now Prescott leads the offense back out for their second play. You see him calling things there at the line of scrimmage, lined up under center. On play action, time to throw to the outside. George Pickens goes up, but that pass broken up late. That's Andrew Booth on the outside with good coverage there and knocks it out of the hands of George Pickens along the near sideline.
I tell you,
and
when it comes to
Pickens is down on the ground. And injured, so they will tend to George Pickens. Obviously, that's a huge thing to monitor here. All right, and back now after medical staff attended to George Pickens. Looks like he had some crampage, was down on the ground for a little while, but then was able to pop back up to his feet and walk off on his own power as Dak Prescott goes over an incoming defender to Luke Schoonmaker there on the rollout. As Schoonmaker turns upfield and will keep on going. So obviously we'll see if Pickens inserts himself again into these drills, but it looks like everything seems to be all right for right now.
And the Cowboys could not be more concerned in that immediate moment with George Pickens going down. But as you stated, it does look like it could be a potential cramp that they were trying to massage out of his lower leg. He was up, mobile, walking under his own power to the medical tent to be evaluated. So, positive sign, but we'll see and we'll wait for more information.
Prescott in the shotgun now. Checks it down over the middle to Jalen Brooks, who turns upfield and picks up some extra yardage. And now we'll be remiss if we didn't mention that in one of those plays off, Kaiir Elam had an interception off of Dak Prescott. So the defense continuing to turn the ball over and have a solid day.
Another takeaway for Matt Eberflus's defense is becoming a bit of a theme. And as you mentioned earlier, with the two hats that Brian Schottenheimer has to wear, the head coach loves what he's seen from the defense with the takeaways. The offensive coordinator, however, not so much. Yeah.
Now the second team offense taking the field. Joe Milton in at quarterback. Hands off to Deuce Vaughn, who makes one cut, and Malik Hooker closing in on him pretty quickly there. Marquise Bell tried to wrestle that ball free, but Vaughn holds on to it. and goes upfield. And now on the far side, you see Pickens standing up next to CeeDee Lamb, back on his own 2 feet, putting his gloves back on.
Which is
taking his gloves off, I beg your pardon. So
still a good
he
sight.
is done for the day.
It's a good sight that no cart was brought out. He left under his own power. He's over there on the sideline, standing, watching. He's not in the medical tent as we speak. So, again, it appeared from the naked non-medical eye to be a cramp that they were massaging out of his lower leg, and this could be precautionary.
Milton once again will tuck it and keep it on that rep. As you saw, pressure closing in. Milton able to turn upfield and pick up what he can. And part of the next steps for Joe Milton is just being able to read downfield, go through his reads, and fully evaluate all his options, and finally make that decision and throw that ball out there. Sometimes he holds the ball a little bit too long, but certainly that's going to be a key aspect of his development going forward under Brian Schottheimer and this offensive staff.
Well, you make a great point, and the reason that he likely holds the ball a little longer than you like is because he's starting to depend and believe on his mobility more than he did in his collegiate years. But getting that ball out quickly is going to be key, particularly when you're going against the defensive lines and defensive fronts of the NFC East. You will not have nearly as much time as you had when you were going against those AFC clubs.
Jalen Cropper on the check down there. Here's Jaden Blue, the rookie. He gets wrapped up pretty early. That's Marquise Bell again flying in there to make a defensive stop. So Blue staying in the game here as Milton continues to lead the second team offense. Kalen Carson and Troy Pride, the 2 starting corners on the outside.
Cowboys are really going to need to see a lot from their corners. We saw the interception by Kyer Elam earlier, a few plays ago. That is great news. Andrew Booth made a play in these team drills. And the cornerbacks, those young guys, this is their chance to step up and be seen before guys like Trayvon Diggs make it back to the field.
There's Milton once again keeping it, and that's going to do it for the second group, and that will also do it for us here on Training Camp Live. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you again tomorrow for the 3rd Dallas Cowboys Training Camp. For Patrik Walker, I'm Tommy Yarrish. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.